Good afternoon on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. Well, here's the remnants of Harvey. It's going to hook up with this trough of low pressure, this cold frontal system, and get pushed through the region. And we're looking at a very rainy Sunday and then a pretty decent Monday. This VELCO weather hazards outlook is valid the rest of today, Saturday through Friday, September the 8th. Much more active weather this week, going into next week, and possibly just beyond this period with an East Coast tropical cyclone to deal with, but much too far out for any kind of details and really any proactive concerns at this time, but you want to keep informed. That'll be a more immediate concern. We have marginal gradient winds near thresholds for the western slopes of the Green Mountains on Sunday afternoon. This as remnant moisture of Harvey moves on through with a weak area of low pressure. And moderate to possibly locally heavy rainfall could be associated with the remnants of Harvey as it moves on through. Concerns should be pretty limited, though, as antecedent dry conditions remain. A slow-moving cold frontal boundary is likely going to set up moderate to heavy rainfall. This will happen, it looks like, on Tuesday into Thursday. Now, the initial Tuesday frontal boundary could also trigger some thunderstorm potential with some wind gusts Tuesday into Thursday as well. Lesser amounts on Wednesday and Thursday, but still very rainy, and by that point in time we might see somewhere up around 2.5, 3 inches of total rainfall. Still unsettled on Friday to end the work week before high pressure builds in for next weekend just beyond this period. Thereafter, we'll be watching what develops to the south of us moving up the eastern seaboard. Okay, we're starting with the 6-hour panels of the European model. This is valid 8 o'clock this Saturday evening, and then overnight tonight, no real big deal. Then we start to see clouds thicken and increase, and the remnants of Harvey. Most of the heavier precipitation, you might notice, goes off to the south and east here, but we still have some moisture injected into this region with precipitable water about 1 standard deviation above normal. Not a big deal, but you can see there is some heavier precip. And this is valid, it looks like, about 2 o'clock early Labor Day Monday morning. And then this begins to move on out. We dry out for what should be a fairly decent Labor Day. A little remnant indications of precipitation here in far northern Vermont. I don't think that's going to actually work out with this ridge of higher pressure. But needless to say, this is a little quick break in the action. And what's going to end up happening is a kind of a northeast-southwest axis of moisture along a frontal boundary is going to work on through. This gets in here on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Looks to be the worst. You can see the little higher potential there for heavier rainfall in a 6-hour period. And then that shifts a little more into southern parts of Vermont, but then also pushes back into our region as a developing upper level trough of lower pressure kind of brings that back at us. So hence that's why it's going to be lasting into Wednesday as well as Thursday. And then finally, on Friday to end the work week, we have very unsettled conditions. You can see that trough of lower pressure moving in from the Great Lakes across Vermont, touching off more showers. All eyes are watching what will be the leftovers of Irma here, and right now the East Coast projections of both the GFS and the European model, it wants to bring it in the vicinity of the Carolinas, and then from there it's just too early to say where it's going to go. It could go inland, or it could go along the coast, or even up the coast, something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. Again, this is a good 7 to 10 days out. All right, comparing notes with this meteogram with the GFS ensemble data. This is centered on Burlington, and this is Harvey's moisture, about a ½ inch, somewhere between a ½ inch and 1 inch amounts looks to be probable here, moving across most of Vermont. Then we dry out on Monday. And then you can see just very unsettled conditions with minor amounts of precipitation, but this stuff begins to add up. The GFS ensemble is not as robust as the European ensemble is, with the moisture working in between Tuesday and Thursday of this week. However, what is robust is the Weather Prediction Center 7-day total QPF. And you can see 3-inch amounts here across Vermont, in some areas, and a combination of that stalled frontal boundary and then what could be some tropical moisture associated, both the remnants of Harvey passing through early, Sunday, early in the period, and then what might happen thereafter. GFS ensemble temperatures, this is today, 75 or so around the Burlington area. a cool night tonight, and then some rain-cooled air. Temperatures predicted really only top out around 55 degrees, so another very chilly Sunday is expected. The good news is that Labor Day Monday we're right back up again to about 75, and even a little bit warmer as we get into Tuesday. However, by this time we're looking at showers and thunderstorms in the picture here. And you can see what goes on aloft here, relatively cool, and then conditions definitely warm up, 15 degrees Celsius at about 850 millibars. Next 5 days, total weighted temperatures, we're running either at normal, if not about 3 degrees below normal, especially to the west of us where that trough of lower pressure with the cooler air is going to be. Slightly warmer off the coast. About 3 days later, we see not a whole lot of change. Still cool to the west of us. We're right on the edge of seasonal temperatures here with the 0 degree line, and this is 3 to 7 days out. This is the 0Z European Ensemble forecast for the remnants, or what will be Hurricane Irma. Now a Category 2 storm, was a Category 3 weekend, but it's forecast to spin up and intensify once again. And you can see a lot of the plots here. Turning east of Florida and heading for the Carolinas, there could be a landfall, or it could recurve out to sea. If this was to take the middle ground, we would have no worries. GFS Ensemble very quickly shows a similar recurvature to the right and then into the Carolinas, making landfall around Hatteras and then going to the west of Vermont into New York. These solutions are way too far out in time to worry about this, but it does indicate that we're in the zone here and something we're going to have to be keeping a very close eye on. Hurricane model intensity guidance, you can see it's almost a Cat 3, Category 2 hurricane right now, and the models want to intensify it some and kind of keep it in this mode here. This goes out to 140, 156 hours. Ending on this note, just as a spectator here, we have, this is a tropical depression, Lydia, and running in the colder waters of the Pacific, but a lot of moisture comes up the coast, and this thing scoots up the western coast. I've never seen it go off the Pacific coast like this, and 2 to 4 standard deviation moisture being pulled along with it. A lot of cloud cover with this, and a lot of moisture coming up the west coast. This is going to trigger a lot of wildfires again due to lightning touched off thunderstorm activity, unless there's very heavy rains. And looks like the closer you are to the west coast, the heavier the rainfall. In summertime tropical thunderstorms, you just don't see that every day. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.